Welcome to another edition of Making a Difference, where we're building wealth, creating freedom, and making a difference. Today, we're going to talk about exactly that. How do we make a difference? And we're going to show you exactly how we get that done in your life. Of course, before we get started, I've got to ask you, do me a favor and click the like button. I'm telling you, you're going to enjoy what you're going to get. So make sure you click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification. That way, whenever we produce a new show, you will get the first notification, so you'll be able to catch and not miss not one show. Okay. So again, I've got my cohorts here who are we're going to join together and talk about how we're going to make a difference in your life. We're literally showing you the alternatives on how you can begin to take control, financial control of your own destiny. How wonderful an idea and a concept would it be to be able to show you that you can do what the multi-billion-dollar industry is doing every day with the same money that you're spending? How we can show you you can begin to plan and plot your own financial future and still have this necessary coverage necessary to bring you into a financial comfortability. So we're going to talk about that. I've got Chris and JP, and they are my constant cohorts here, and we're excited about the opportunity to share this opportunity with you on today. Hope you're having an amazing time, an amazing day as we get into this conversation. Hey, Chris, JP, what's going on, guys?
Hello, how are you doing today?
Great,
Good
great,
morning.
great.
How are you today? Actually, good
Oh,
afternoon. It's 12:30.
yeah. So, or whenever you're watching, somebody, it's morning
That's right.
somewhere in the world. So, so listen, as always, we come together with one unified idea and concept and one purpose, and that is to help as many people as we possibly can. Those that would allow us the opportunity to share some of the concepts and ideas and principles that we live by as not just individuals, but as a corporation in terms of making a difference. So today, we want to do exactly that. But before we go another further, I want to make sure everyone knows who's talking to them. So I've got in the middle on my immediate, I guess that would be left on the television. That is the one, the only Christopher Lopez. He's the founder, CEO of NPG. Introduce yourself there, Chris. I started to say Brother Chris, because I'm always in church.
Hello, everybody. I'm Christopher Lopez, the founder and CEO of New Power Generation.
Yes, it's exciting. And then next to you, the wonderful John Paul Toth. John Paul is what is your official title, John?
Well, my name is John Paul Maxey, Executive Vice President with New Power Generation, and excited to be here this afternoon with you.
So you're hearing, folks, you hear us say all the time. Let me turn this up just a little. You hear us say all the time that NPG stands for New Power Generation. And we're going to talk a little bit about that perhaps today. But what we really want to focus on before we get to that is to address not the elephant in the room, the lion in the room. What's going on back there? What's happening with you there, Chris?
Since we're talking about the lion,
Uh-huh. Special guest appearance by the lion.
Leo. Leo,
Leo the lion. So what's the story about behind Leo there?
the king of the jungle, right? And it's a
Right.
jungle out there,
It's a jungle out there. You're right about that. So
right?
how are we, along with Leo and yourself and John, how are we helping to declutter and demystify the jungle out there?
Well, first of all, making a difference while making a difference. Uh,
Hmm.
the only way you can ever make a difference in people's lives is if you find out what's going on. And that's what we try and do, get people to understand that we can't help you unless you share with us what's going on. And you can't be successful if you truly don't care. So a lot of times this becomes a 2, 3, 4 hour talk about how it is we can do something to help them. In
Hmm.
essence, we're going to be making a difference in their life. And through making a difference in their life, we make a difference in our own life in many ways. Financially, obviously, if we did something for them and there was a product involved, we get compensated for it. Spiritually, because of the fact that we did help another human being out there, another soul, actually get comfort in their life. It could also be ethically. We did something that we righted a wrong that was done to them. So that also gets put out to the world and the universe. And we can know that what we just did made a difference not only in that life and in my life, but exponentially, because that person now has learned and they're going to share this with someone. And that's going to go out and they're going to see issues with their own family and loved ones and correct those issues. And then we're going to be able to help them exponentially. As time goes by, a legacy gets formed. So you truly did make a difference while you made a difference.
Hmm. So the whole idea, I remember when I was first introduced to New Power Generation, and I, quite candidly, I was a little bit skeptical because I've never heard of any corporation who was so committed to actually helping people and not exploiting people. That's
Mhm.
kind of the reality that we live in. We're in a capitalistic society here in America, and so everything hinges around how quickly how quickly we can make a buck off of products or individuals. Unfortunately, in many cases, so I was really impressed with how committed and ardent you were speaking in terms of helping to make a difference. Whatever we do now, of course, we provide a service and for which we are compensated. But in light of that, the things that we're offering, there are many others who are supposedly in the same business, but they almost to the level of extortion. Where it comes to how they make their
Buyer
money.
beware, right? Buyer beware.
Caveat, yes. What's that? What's that? Caveat emptor. Let the buyer beware.
Right.
Yeah.
So John Paul, what's your personal testimony as it relates to why we are helping to make a difference?
Well, Michael, and what Chris is alluding to is making a difference while making a difference. The principles that should be taught are not taught. So when people make a decision to buy something or to do something that's going to benefit their financial household, they're making decisions based on the facts of someone else's ability to tell them, not on what's going to be beneficial for them. So when we meet with families, we know that we can help them, and because we give them all the tools that they need to have so they can make a good decision. Remember, our company is called New Power Generation. Freedom is a choice. But in the industry, most people don't have a choice. They're given a product. So now they have to make a decision based on the product, not what's in the best interest of the person. And so the families or the individuals that we talk to, they need to be able to know there's a choice that they can choose which will be better for them. And because we give them a choice, now they have freedom to choose. So now we now feel good that they chose what they thought was the best interest for themselves. And because it changes their life, we now are impacted because we have changed their life for years to come, 20, 30 years.
Were you like me, John Paul, when you got into this or got introduced to this company? Um, were you as impressed with the idea that they're literally wanting to just help as many people as
Absolutely.
possible? And where does that
Absolutely.
where does that stem from in your own life? And where did you get this concept of actually wanting to help and not take advantage of people?
Unfortunately, Michael, when I grew up, my parents didn't have any knowledge about how to take care of their own personal finances.
Hmm.
My wife's family didn't know how to take care of their own personal finances. So that when we made financial decisions, we made decisions based on the knowledge that we were taught by our parents. So because we took that knowledge that we didn't have and saw the ability that we could have knowledge that would benefit us, not just by a product, but how it could benefit us, my heart just felt so compelled to want to go tell everyone this information and share it so that they now can have a decision that could change their life. And I knew if I could do this for a time period, 20, 30, 40 years, however long till I get called away to heaven or buried in the ground, whatever one we want to call it, I know that I would have impacted a family's life for the time period while I was here. It wasn't just a job, it just over broke. It was, I could do something today that could financially impact them 20, 30 years down the road. And that just spoke so many volumes to me, Michael, that I wasn't just doing something to check off a box.
Right. Yeah.
And I
So
love
it's
that.
more. I saw that it's really kind of more than just doing business, as it were. We're
Oh, yeah.
literally having an opportunity to really impact lives in a very positive sort of way, and that's what
Yes.
excites me because again, I don't know if you're not in a position to help someone, if you're not going to be in a position where you're going to benefit someone, then for me it's kind of a non-starter. It's
Yeah.
like, well, I'm not here to take advantage of anyone. So if you're in the business of helping, as I'm in the business of helping, then I think we can have a pretty good relationship going there. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, well, yes, and the reality of this, uh, life is tough out there. It's really, really tough, and nobody survives without food. And so you have to put food on the table. And how do you do that? Well, you have a job, a just over broke, and you work a job and they pay you. Well, when you get into this industry, it's the same thing. You've got to put food on the table, right? And so you're taught how to do certain things. I don't I don't fault the agent. I don't. It's not their fault. They are taught to do something. They were taught to sell certain things in a certain way. It's not their fault. Okay? But they are adults. They have a license like we do. They saw what they could do, what's available, and they made a conscious choice
Yeah.
to do the thing that they were trained to do or the right thing. And now somebody will go, well, wait a minute, time out. What do you mean the right thing? Well, if your company offered something for less money and they could take advantage of other things, why didn't you show that first? Right?
Yeah.
But you were taught how to do a certain thing and you have a sales quota that you have to hit to keep your income going.
Hmm.
So that pressure comes in. So, yes, yes, it is about doing the right thing. But the entire package of doing the right thing has to also be, are you doing the right thing for your family?
Right. Exactly.
For your family.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact is that if here's I went to a funeral on Friday. Now I have a lot of children, adult children, by the way. Right. So my youngest though is going to be 20, believe it or not. My youngest. So we're at a funeral, and somebody comes up a lot. Like I said, everybody knows who I am. But a woman comes up and gives me a hug. It's been about 10 years since I've seen her. Gives me a hug, and then hugs my daughter. My daughter doesn't know who she is, doesn't, and thanks my daughter for giving me the time to go to her house
Mm-hmm.
and help her 10 years ago. And back then, her husband was alive, and we were able to do the things that when he passed away, I think it was 4.5 years ago now, that she was not only financially taken care of, but we had done an estate plan. We've done the things we were supposed to do, and gave my daughter a hug, thanking her that every night she sleeps in her house thanks to your dad. That's what she said. Thanks to your dad. And then she went and sat down. So when we sat down, my daughter looks at me, and another person walks up, hugs her. Another person taps her on the back, right? Kisses her forehead. You have no idea what that means to me.
Mm-hmm.
No idea. Because I did the right thing. I am now there amongst people who knew I did the right thing. It's not about money. My daughter now lives in a legacy. When they lay me down someday, because we all have that date coming, she knows Dad made a difference in so many people's lives that I didn't even know who they were. He was out there doing it. And because he did that, my life is a dream come true. I get to do, I'm going to college, I pursue whatever I want. Because my dad made a difference.
Right.
And then he made a difference here at home. Why, folks, why not you? Why can't you just see all of this for what it is? We as a company encourage part time people to go out and make a difference while making a difference.
Mhm.
And that is a legacy being built that when you're dead and gone, your family could always put up their head up high and know that you made a difference. And if it wasn't for you, a lot of people out there would be hurting very much.
Mhm. Well, I can imagine. Wow, that's a powerful story, though. But I can imagine that during this time of great bereavement, to be able to have someone to give a testimony, not only to yourself, but how proud is your daughter of you
Yeah,
for
yeah,
being?
I'm telling you,
That's got to be worth it all, right?
it was worth it. When you're driving, and it's a 3 hour drive back, and you're driving, and your daughter is texting to her friends about how proud she was to be there, right?
Wow.
How proud she was. And then, we pull over and we get some dinner. And the first question she asks as we're eating, she's going, I know you did a lot, Dad, and I hear people talk to you all the time, but I never saw people react that way to you. Now, she's done seminars, she's done presentations, she's been at opportunity meetings, she's done everything since she's been born. But that was her first funeral,
Mm.
her first, because I've always tried to protect her. But like I said, she's going to be 20, and this body will end someday. So this is part of her growing up. She's got to experience this. And
Yeah.
so we went, and you have no idea how it felt to sit there as I'm eating my steak and knowing that not only what I'm doing is really making a difference in people's life and my daughter's life, but what a life I have.
Hmm.
I mean, what a life I have. Okay,
You and Leo.
quotation, right? That a long time ago, this was a dream. This you're looking at was a dream a long time ago, and I'm holding it right now. As I was telling John, by the way, John has always seen it, but he didn't understand how did this come to be. And I made a bunch of these for our agents. Then COVID happened, so I still have a bunch of these at the house
Oh
because
wow.
COVID happened. I never gave them away.
Oh,
But once again, these are for the Crusaders, right? These are for our Crusaders, right? When they got a license, hint clue, when they get a license, I was going to give them one of these so they know that they're a Crusader, right? And the fact here is that a lot of people don't understand this little fact. When you're out there fighting the world for a better reason than your own, you need something to hold on to. Okay, can you hand me Mickey real quick, Mickey? This guy was only created because of this guy. This
Mickey.
guy taught me to be an Imagineer. He taught me back in the 70s. If it wasn't for him, I'd be dead. I'm not kidding. If it wasn't for him, I'd be dead. He rides shotgun in my car. If you were at my house, you'd see nothing but Mickey's. Because if it wasn't for him, I grew up in East LA. I was broke. My parents were gone because of the 71 earthquake. So if it wasn't for him
You got the
being
whole
on the
screen. There you go.
and telling me, hey, let's go ahead and take the bus. And I took the bus because it was free. And I walked into Disneyland and I learned something. There's hope. That's what I learned. If it wasn't for him. And then they took me in and I became part of the band as a child. Okay, but it wasn't for him. And in that hope, he helped me become an Imagineer. And together, we decided we're going to go make a difference while making a difference. He spreads the hope and entertainment of the worldwide. And I am going to go ahead and I'm going to change the financial industry forever. That's why we do what we do. So I hope you guys understand that my life is a gift.
Wow.
I see it as a gift. And why will we do that? Because you're talking to a person who doesn't care about the money.
Right.
That's the difference. CEOs wants to make billions and billions of dollars over people. I make sure that 95% of all the money that comes into this company gets put back out to the agents. John's wearing a shirt he didn't pay for. Uh, Agents have cards that they don't pay for, a website that they don't pay for, brochures that they don't pay for. They have an ability to come into the business and learn a business that they don't have to pay for. You see, I get this and I transfer it to them because I believe we can only make a difference if we truly go out and be the lion in the jungle and fight for everyone out there.
Yeah.
This is why this guy is my little alter ego.
Where we're living in a time where, you know, the corporations are fighting for themselves and, for their inurement and for their expansions and all of that sort of thing. It is refreshing to know that there is a corporation that's fighting for the people, and the times we're living now. Unfortunately, people are pretty much the last thing, on mind when it comes to doing something that benefits them as opposed to exploiting them for what they can get from them. So, Brother John, we almost go to church here. John, you were talking about earlier how you had a client who was basically overpaying and overtaxed. Tell that story if you whatever part you can tell.
Just to follow up on what Chris was saying, if you think about this, right? He's at an event that he didn't want to be at. So he's at an event where he didn't want to be at, but he wanted to be there for support. But the people that were coming to him to hug him and his daughter was of gratitude that he played a part in their life, not a year ago, but a time period ago, 10 years, where that he changed your life. Now, Michael, if we personalize that and we say, if someone came and educated you about principles that you could apply to your own life, and because you take the principles and you apply them to your own life, now you take control of your money, and then 20 years down the road, or 30, whatever time period you're able to help those families, and now they have enough money that they don't have to worry about going to work at a job just to make money to pay those bills. That feels so grateful that that you had something that they could benefit from forever. And just like Chris was saying, I don't have clients, I have friends. Now, if you're an advisor and all you're doing is for the money, you have clients. But if you're doing it because you genuinely care about the people, you have friends. And they treat you just like a friend would treat another friend. They trust you. Well, if we do the right thing, we have to expose all the areas that we can change someone's life. Yes, I sat down with a person that was in their later years, 60-something years old, almost 70, and someone came to their home to talk about something called health insurance, right? Which you have to have at that age. Well, in the process of doing that, they decided to ask about their money, but didn't ask about was it the best for them. Just said, oh, they started to create a scare tactic and they played it on their heartstrings. Oh, you need to have this, you have it. And after everything was done, the insurance agent, I clarified it, the insurance agent, because he wasn't there to protect her, he sold this woman who didn't need insurance, but convinced her to spend almost $300 a month in life insurance premiums at the age of 68. Now, when you're older, you don't need to be buying insurance. You need what? Money. Well, of course, we already provided that. But they tried to scare her to do something that was in their best interest, not for her. Well, when I got there, I educated her and I told her what you should do, and we stopped everything. So the greatest thing was, it wasn't about money because I didn't make any money. It was about, that's my friend, and they deserve to be educated about what's best for them. I drove 2 hours, didn't make any money. But you know how good it felt when my wife and I were driving home and I knew that they were proud that they had me to say, this is wrong. And it changed their life. I mean, changes their life. It's no longer transaction based, Michael.
It's more, yeah, it's more than a transaction. Yeah, our
Sure is.
relationships are not transactional relationships. This is
No.
about being actually concerned about a family who's being overcharged and underproduced and underprovided
Yeah,
for, and then someone like yourself comes along, or you or Chris or one of the other representatives comes along and say, "Hey, listen, we can help you and turn this around where it benefits you and save you some money and perhaps even make you more money." That's
absolutely.
got to be a great feeling.
Oh, it's amazing. Just, I had a friend of mine I've been handling their money for years, and they said, John Paul, you're not my financial advisor. You're my friend. And I said, that is worth it all right there.
Mission accomplished.
That's it.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
they have over $1 million, Michael. Imagine that relationship every year.
Mm,
How would you feel if that was you?
yeah. I would feel blessed and honored to be able to do
Yeah,
such a thing for that many people. Well, hey,
man.
listen, we're making a difference while making a difference. This is what the whole idea of new power generation. And I think what we can talk about, give us a little bit of that teaser of NPG for our next broadcast. If you guys have been wondering, we hear you keep talking about NPG and new power. Are y'all in a band? So talk
Well, it's
about it,
funny with
Chris.
new power generation because once again, I'm from the beginning and ending of two generations, baby boomer, Generation X. Okay, so I'm in the middle. But the fact is that our new generation has to take power
Mhm.
over our circumstances. So, new power generation is us empowering our generation to take control of our circumstances. It wasn't just for financial services back then. I was in the music industry, and there's a lot of labels out there that were taking our creations and
That's
owning
true.
it. And so, new power generation came to be as we created it, so that therefore we should own it. And it's grown to, the industry is ripping people off. We got to change to that. You know, these investments are not being sold the way they're supposed to. We got to change that. People need to know that they could do other things, not just invest in where they work. We got to change that. We got to give people a way to put money away for only like $50 or $25. By the way, didn't exist back then,
Mm-mm.
but now it does. So our goal is to change that. New power generation. And we're going to start this legacy because when this body's gone, the company still exists because we have now generations of people out there who have now understood that you could take power of your circumstances.
I like it. New power generation where you're going to
Mhm.
take control, take power of over your own,
Yeah,
instead of
agree.
bequeathing it to government and third party entities where you can literally do that for yourself. Nothing can be more empowering than to know that, hey, I have the ability to command my own destiny, take charge of what it is I want for my own life. And nobody knows what's best for you better than you know what's best
That's
for you, right?
Yeah, there's no money in the education of that. That's why nobody is taught this. There's
Yeah.
no money in it. So we do this. And we're not charging. We do life goals analysis, financial needs analysis, and we do that for free.
Hmm.
Where people are making thousands of dollars on this, we do it for free.
Right.
There's no money in education, but yet we provide nothing but education.
Now, if you're interested in the education Chris and John and I are talking about, then we want you to get in touch with us at newpowergeneration.us. And you can literally do that life goal analysis, right? You
Mm-hmm.
right on the
Yeah,
website
right on
and
the web.
get a handle on your financial independence number. Find out
Yeah,
what's your fin. You might hear
yeah.
us talk about that and find out what it is going to take financially to get you to that place where you no longer need insurance. We'll tell
Mm-hmm.
you more about that in the coming shows. But again, if this has brought any level of value to you, I need you to click the thumbs up. Make sure you to click that thumbs up and the subscribe button if you haven't done so. For the sake of Leo, okay? Leo is out there fighting in the jungles of in these streets, trying to make a difference for you while making a difference. I'm excited about the opportunity. I'm looking forward to helping as many people as I possibly can, as is Chris, as is John Paul. We are all looking forward to doing the most that we can to help you position yourself so that you can take control of your financial destiny. How about the idea that your money can literally go to work for you? We'll show you more about how to do that in a future show. But remember, again, we're here every week. We've got a new broadcast every week, a new video every week. So make sure you click the subscribe button, click the like button, because it helps the algorithms make sure that these videos get to you, so you'll be able to see them, benefit from them. You need to watch them over and over again so that it gets into your psyche, so that you'll understand that there is a better way. There is a better way. We'll show you and share more with you about that in the coming videos right here on this channel. Again, make sure you subscribe, click the like button, click the notification button, and you'll get notified each time we're back with a brand new video. We've got one. We're going into the history of NPG on our next video. You're not going to want to miss this. It's a great story. All right. Until our next time, once again, go to newpowergeneration.us. That's newpowergeneration.us, and take your financial analysis goal. Take your FIN. Find out what your FIN is, and we'll help. And that's free. Okay, doesn't cost you a thing. You can go and do it right now. Okay. Till the next time, we look forward to seeing you. Have an amazing rest of the week. Okay. Thank you for joining us right here
Take
on
care, everyone.
Making a Difference. While we make a difference, we'll see you next time.